and welcome to a special Tuesday night edition of Worldwide Ramblings. My name is Jack Willard, and it is the 8th of October, 2024. Hurricane Milton is not far from invading Florida and beyond, possibly the worst hurricane of all times. As one meteorologist said, Big Joe Biscardi, I believe, he said, don't pay attention too much to the category because the impact will be widespread no matter what. And of course, the storm surge, the water, will be a big issue like it was for the last hurricane. When you see meteorologists on the air in Florida and they start to choke up and cry a little bit, you know that this is a devastating storm. There are people that are not leaving. We know someone in Orlando, Florida, that is hunkered down, has filled up their bathtub with water. There may be plenty of water, and it could reach Orlando. Of course, the Disney parks are closed. And so we've got Fox weather on, and we'll look at that. But I'm going to start with Lisa Marie Presley in just 2 minutes as I say hello to Ted Richards, Brenda, Linda Justice, Darlene Koberstein, Marty Greco. Hey, Marty. Marty confirmed that, yes, the TCB ring that Elvis wore is available for purchase. Of course, it was duplicated, and it is available for purchase. We'll have to get you the link to that, or you could post it right here if you want, Marty, if you can do that. The link to get your own TCB ring. Jody Smith is here. Hi, Jack. And Michael Wiggins. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Mr. Jack. Hello, Mr. Michael. Cindy in South Louisiana. And I thought you were going to be first. Your trigger finger's not working correctly this time, Cindy. Hello, Jack and everyone. Cheryl Everhart. Karen Phillips is here. Hello, hello, hello. Sandra Fair. Hi, all. Susie Q. I love you, Susie Q. And a glass of milk, I think. Susie Young. Hello, Jack. Hey. Also, Faith Lloyd joins us. Hi, Jack. I'm glad I caught your pop on to pop off this afternoon. Well, really, it was a pre-recorded promo. I did it, and then I went to Spectrum with Karen to get a brand new router, so hopefully we won't have that problem that started to occur where we would lose the stream. Now, what the representative said on the phone before we went to physically pick up the new router was, if this doesn't correct the problem, we may have to have someone come out and look and see what the issue is. What about if it's the modem? We got a new router. But so far, so good. So far, so good. So we'll see. Jean Phillips, hi, Jack and everyone. My friend and her daughter and dogs just arrived in Georgia to a friend's apartment. I see. And here's someone new. I don't know how to pronounce that first name, Janet K.S., but welcome, welcome, welcome. It's not Punxsutawney. You're not Punxsutawney Phil. No. If there's a way to mispronounce it, I'll usually find it. Don't worry. So we're starting off with 29 and 7 likes. Just hit the like button and the notification bell as well. Jody says the reason why these people are doing videos about Pastor Bob is for clickbait. All right. Well, maybe we'll get into that a little bit. But, competition is obviously part of the game. And the sad part about it is these videos don't even entertain the idea that he could be who we think he is. Some do, some don't, some do, some don't. But I think Janet is saying that she's in West Virginia. Would that be correct? I've been there, and welcome. So when I'm doing content, I can't see the chat. So if you want to address something to me, wait till I'm finished with the content, and then I'll go back to this screen. Okay. So that's how that works. But I don't want to keep people waiting on the content. 32 watching right now. So many people are excited about the Lisa Marie Presley Riley Keough book that is out. A number of you have told me, I think Cindy was one of them, that their copy has come or is coming from Amazon, and they're very, very exciting. They're very, very exciting people, and they're very excited that the book is coming. So Lisa Marie Presley makes her voice heard once and for all in a new memoir, From Here to the Great Unknown. Elvis Presley's daughter and granddaughter take turns exploring a messy legacy. This is from the New York Times, everybody. The New York Times, a couple of nice pictures I'll show you. And Elizabeth Egan is the writer for the New York Times piece. And this is very, very current. From Here to the Great Unknown. That's a great title, isn't it? From Here to the Great Unknown, a memoir by Lisa Marie Presley and Riley Keough. What is the point of an autobiography? Ms. Egan writes. Lisa Marie Presley asked this question towards the end of her incredibly sad memoir, From Here to the Great Unknown. Presley, talking about Elvis, this is what they say. Presley died of a bowel obstruction, complication of bariatric surgery, before she could finish the book, having endured 54 years of intense public scrutiny. Her daughter, Riley Keough, picked up where she left off, listening to interviews her mother had recorded for the project. Their perspectives appear in alternating sections, a haunting harmony that builds to a crescendo of heartbreak. The answer to Presley's question comes from Keough, who is best known for her star turn in Amazon's adaptation of Daisy Jones and the Six. The point of an autobiography, this one anyway, is to show the toll of fame and addiction. Anyone who skimmed tabloid headlines at the grocery store knows the basics, but here's a quick summary for online shoppers. Lisa Marie Presley, the only child of Priscilla and Elvis Presley, grew up without stability or peace, hounded by paparazzi, criticized for her looks, her weight, her drug use, her marriage to Michael Jackson. From start to finish, her life took place in the public domain. I guess I didn't really have a shot in hell, Presley wrote. My mom was really affected by what people wrote about her, Keough tells us. She had no siblings to share the burden, nobody who understood what it truly felt like. In a way, she was the princess of America and didn't want to be. The first third of From Here to the Great Unknown is full of nostalgic musings about Graceland, the Presley family, home in Memphis, the Presley home in Memphis. We get a peek at the parts that aren't on the tour. We learn about Lisa Marie's tonsillectomy and her baby blue golf cart. She is just 9 when we see her father's body leaving the house on a stretcher. His pajamas, his socks. We see the entourage picking over his belongings. Then Presley 11 being abused by her mother's boyfriend, Michael Edwards, who played Joan Crawford's lover in Mommy Dearest. This went on for 3 years. Then she's 14 in a relationship with a 23-year-old who sold compromising pictures of her, which leads Presley to take 20 Valium in an attempt to end her life. There are occasional glimpses of a star-studded youth, tea with Elton John. But honestly, it's hard to get too excited about the fact that Vidal Sassoon's daughter had liquid paper and sandals with heels. I don't know what this means when the poor young woman dies of a drug overdose on the next page. Hmm. Enter MJ, Michael Jackson. Presley met him for the first time when she was around 6 years old. He remembered, she didn't, and fell in love with him when she was in her early 20s. According to her, he was a virgin at the time she was married. According to her, he was a virgin at the time she was married to Danny Keough, whom she soon divorced and had two children, Riley and her younger brother, Ben. We see Presley and Jackson holed up in a Vegas hotel watching Jaws. We can smell their picked over room service dinners motoring beneath metal domes. Presley writes, the physical stuff started happening, which I was shocked at. I had thought that maybe we wouldn't do anything until we got married, but he said, I'm not waiting. Keough writes, at home, they were a regular married couple. They would drive us to school together in the morning, just like a normal family, though sometimes Michael would bring along a chimpanzee. Before you ask, 'twas not Bubbles. One had the sense that Keough cannot skate through this phase of her mother's life quickly enough. As for the accusations of child molestation against Jackson, Presley writes, I never saw a thing like that. I'm leaving out a word there. I personally would have killed him if I had. The marriage ended because Presley didn't want to have Jackson's children. By that point, he already had his own anesthesiologist to administer drugs. A family member asked Presley to try to get his urine to test it, but she declined. There was a happy decade when Presley stopped using drugs and devoted herself to her children. Keough recalls her saying, my music wasn't that successful. I didn't finish high school. I'm not beautiful. I'm not good enough, but I'm a great mother. Keough agrees while acknowledging that Presley occasionally felt the need to cover windows with aluminum foil so as not to be spotted by photographers. When she was 40, Presley had twin daughters, Harper and Finley, with her husband, Michael Lockwood. They divorced in 2021. She experienced her first oh my God high from painkillers prescribed after a C-section. The memoir's final 80 pages cover her free fall into addiction. It escalated to 80 pills a day. This is difficult territory, and it becomes even more treacherous when Keough's brother Ben ends his own life. But it is most powerful, and its most powerful part of this book. Instead of tap dancing around the hard parts, we're drilling into the bedrock. We hear less from Presley and more from Keough, who comes across as level-headed, valiant, and kind. At a NAR-on meeting, she would definitely be the one brewing the coffee. It's interesting. In this book for addicts, is this book for addicts, their families, Elvis fans? Hard to say. Here's the detail that will land in those checkout lane headlines. After Ben died, Presley kept his body on dry ice in a temperature-controlled room at her house in Calabasas, California, for 2 months. I felt so fortunate that there was a way I could still parent him, delay it a bit longer so that I could become okay with laying him to rest, she writes. Keo approaches the episode with respectful levity, the best tool available to members of a dysfunctional family. When Presley invites a visiting tattoo artist to take a peek at the ink on her dead son's body, Keo writes, I had an extremely absurd life, but this moment is in the top 5. Keo knew her mother wouldn't survive her brother's death. When I would go visit her, she didn't even know who I was, she writes. I remember sitting with her while she tried to light her cigarette for 5 full minutes, unsuccessfully. It was as if it was all happening in slow motion. The cigarette was never closer than a few feet from the lighter. Presley still gets a word in here and there, and these passages show how determined she was to stand up to her demons. Sometimes I feel like there's nothing left, no purpose, she writes, but I have 3 remaining children, so I fight it. 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 That is from Here to the Great Unknown, a memoir by Lisa Marie Presley and Riley Keough from Random House. And that review, Elizabeth Egan, who is a writer and editor for the Times Book Review. She has worked in the world of publishing for 30 years. So find out about Elizabeth Egan, who wrote that very interesting review right here. So there you go. There you go. Back to the main screen, and I see turquoise. Oh, I love the color turquoise. It's sometimes yellow. It's sometimes, well, let me see. I have to think about that. There's a number of colors. Thank you, Sammy, for hitting the thanks button. That's right here in the video. If you're watching the replay, it sometimes takes a while to appear. But it's easily found in other videos, and it all goes into the same pot. So Sammy, thank you for that $2.79. It is appreciated more than you know. And I don't have the book yet, but it sounds like one big, the word is what? Trop? Freedom first. Let freedom ring. It sounds like the Sean Hannity song that he used to use as his opening theme. It ain't rocket science. It isn't? Well, then we won't call Elon Musk if it's not rocket science. Chris Rex, 9000. Hope you like the Gene Ho interview videos with Bob Joyce. Yeah, they're all over the place now, aren't they? Yeah, I'm still I've seen 1 and 2, and I'm still looking into part 3. But I think at first Gene was kind of nervous, and Pastor Bob was definitely nervous, but they both warmed up to each other as it went along. I mean, when Pastor Bob first says, "You're welcome," it's like, oh boy, I don't want to be doing this. But Gene is able to bring out Pastor Bob and relax him, and but yet I notice he's very careful how he puts things. Hello from Lawton, Oklahoma. That's where Chris Rex 9000 is. Okay, we have a number of people that watch in Oklahoma. Vicky Smith is here as well. It's a great true story of their lives, says Janet KS. Is that short for Kansas? And just want to see if I missed. Well, here's Jody Smith hitting the thanks button for $1. Thank you so much, Jody. Thank you. I appreciate that very, very much. And I think that's where we left off in the stream. Hope you like that Gene Ho interview. Well, he's an interesting man, Gene Ho. And he's never dull. Well, here's Man and Harvey from Montreal, where I lived for 6 months, as I always say, in 1964, from July until just after Christmas time, when I ended up in January having surgery on my neck. I had an abscess on my neck, and my parents, who had separated, got back together during that time, and we moved back to New York. But first, it was a trip to Danbury Hospital. So, hi, Manon. How's things in Montreal now? Do they still have those spongy candies? Do they still have those spongy candies? It looked like a sponge. That's all I can remember. And I guess the taste was kind of like, I don't, it wasn't caramel. It was something else. Molasses, maybe? Molasses. I don't know. It was so long ago. Were you even born in 64, Manon? I don't know. How would I know? How would I know? I got all choked up and I throwed down my gun. I called him my pa and he called me his son. And I walked away with a different point of view. Auntie LaRue. I did, Ruthie. I did. How's Ruthie doing tonight? Oh dear. What about Nectar soda was so good in Montreal. I don't remember that in 64, but there are major events that happened to me in Montreal. One that affected my life and still affects my wife and my life. I don't have a wife right now, but I have a partner who I love very much, and that is Karen Reed Morris. They say if you get married a third time, you might be hauled away as legally insane. I don't know if there's any truth to that. But yes, and it's delicious. That sponge thing, is that still there? You were not born in 64. Well, that means good for you. I'm envious now. I'm envious. Um, my goodness here. I'm just, now I'm losing. I don't want to mess with his chat too much. You remember what happened last time? I lost it. So there's Sammy with the 279 and go down slowly. Boyd is here, star of General Hospital, formerly from Young and the Restless. Boyd, how do you say that now? Malia? As I say, if there's a wrong way to pronounce it, I will find it. This is why I was always chasing the news guy down the hall back in my radio DJ days and say, how do you pronounce this, Al? Or how do you pronounce this, Karen? And Karen, my first Karen, would tell me. And then, so never told you the first story of Karen, but let's see what's going on here. Major flash flood threat for Central Florida. This is all going to be happening tomorrow. Still time to evacuate. Heavy traffic out of Florida. This guy's in Sarasota, Florida. Steve Bender, Fox weather meteorologist. They really stepped up their game, and they even have a promo that you can tell that they heard what people were saying. Well, they're not as good as the Weather Channel, so they say nobody is better than us, and they hired a few people from the Weather Channel. I think that's how you do it. That's how you do it, Ruthie. So, so you really still have that sponge cake? That sponge candy, whatever it was, I do remember it. Have you ever heard of the John S. O'Connor? Not Donald O'Connor, that's the dancer, right? John S. O'Connor Catholic School? Does that ring a bell, my buddy Manon there? Does that ring a bell? That's where I went for like 4 months till I transferred back to St. Joseph's Catholic School in Middletown, New York. Boy, it's I guess if you're on the East Coast part of Florida, you're certainly safer. But if you're anywhere Tampa Bay and Fort Myers and places like that, you should really leave. They say it could stretch into Orlando. and it could stretch, about the cone. It could stretch much further than that. So, it is possibly the worst of all times. Let's just pray. Let's just pray that isn't the case. That isn't the case. But there's always going to be people that that stay. And then when you get out to Asheville, North Carolina, you don't think anything catastrophic is going to happen there with Hurricane Helene. It did, and there are probably still bodies in the mudslides that they haven't found yet. And we've got well over 200 people dead now from Hurricane Helene. Jack, what I meant was the book sounds like plausible denial. Okay. I can't really get into your head as to what you're saying. I know that you wouldn't like the part about them saying that Elvis Presley died. And, that's the standard story. And I would never expect in this book that it would change. They would never expect that. And I speak of possibilities. I could be wrong about the whole thing, but if I am, then we have the greatest gathering of, I hate to use the word coincidences, and it's probably other words I could use, but I won't. And I don't mean a curse word, but the F word, but not that F word. You know what I'm saying? The greatest. I don't know how you don't look at it that way at some point, because it would mean dozens and dozens, hundreds have to lie. So that's the negative part of this story. So maybe they're telling the truth. Maybe they're telling the truth. And but you got these dozens and dozens of oddities, sightings where the person that we think is Elvis has reportedly been seen, etc., etc. I'd love them just to come on and explain it all, so we could move on. So we could move on. I mean, I don't know what I'd replace this with, but I'm not going to turn into Tucker Carlson. I'm not going to have that kind of platform, that kind of money to have the kind of tech crew. I mean, he just hired his Fox crew, and he lost the Fox gig, which was a stupid thing for them to do. But when he lost the Fox gig, he brought his people to. He brought his in-house crew to his house in Maine and carried on from there. And come January, he'll be free to do whatever he wants with no restrictions. His contract with Fox will expire. I'm still not clear if he still gets paid or he doesn't get paid. If he gave money back, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that. Let's go back here. Ted Richards said, Sam Semi, a conspiracy theorist? They called me that in the Daily Star in the UK. That goes back to the time when we were covering the George Klein funeral. Elvis once called George Klein his best friend, Memphis DJ legend. He was on the Elvis channel on Sirius XM. But before that, on the big 55 AM station in Memphis, playing Elvis and other great music, and Elvis gave him a Cadillac, et cetera, et cetera. So when George Klein passed away, everybody wanted to know, would Bob Joyce go to that funeral? And, we've covered that before. It seemed not only did he go with Matt Joyce, was the possibility that we brought forth, because we only speak of possibilities, but Priscilla Presley was sitting in the row behind him, and when she was finished speaking about George Klein, she was called up to speak, she touched his shoulder, and there were hundreds of people there. She touched his shoulder as she walked by. So the Daily Star called me a conspiracy theorist and put part of the video. I wish I still had that video. I lost a few videos. I did. They put that a part of my video on their website, and they ran a story. They were very interested in that. So the CIA made the word conspiracy. I like that, Sammy. Somebody had to, right? Somebody had to. I'm not sure what they refer to because it goes by so quick. Um, it's hard for me to jump in and understand what somebody is saying sometimes. I went to St. Joseph's Catholic School in Amarillo, Texas, says Ruthie. I was raised as a Catholic too, but no longer. Well, I went to the Catholic Church, but then moved on. First, between the Catholic Church and moving into the Protestant Church, becoming born again, I believe, in 1984, I took a trip into Hinduism for a while because all my friends that I met at McDonald's were getting into that. First, it started off with a book called The Handbook to Higher Consciousness by Ken Kais, and then they started to go into more traditional Hinduism. And a gentleman named Richard Alpert, who changed his name, his Hindu name, to Ram Das, became very important to me. I read his books. Oh, yeah. My son always says, Dad, you haven't read too many books other than Star's biographies. And I said, that's not true. I had the complete set of the Hardy Boy mystery stories, even the Hardy Boy Detective Handbook, which I would study. And then I would follow people around in the shopping center at like 12 years old. And I would have my notepad trying to see if they were up to something sinister, you see. But yeah, I read those Hindu books. And of course, I've read the Bible, so there you go. But yeah, he's right. I haven't read a lot of history books and what have you. I rather would see a good story from history presented on the silver screen, which is blue right now. Walt Disney World shutting down Wednesday afternoon. I think they're probably done. They're not open right now, right? But they are bracing for storm surge. Florida bracing. Tampa International Airport is closed, of course. Already it's closed. And look at the winds are blowing there. The trees are blowing. It is amazing to me how those palm trees can be involved in last time it was Cat 4, right? For a while with Helene and still be left standing. Mobile homes don't have a chance. So, Richard, are you on tonight? Probably not. It'd be too late for you, but I don't think you're going to be working tomorrow. Maybe we'll hear from Richard tomorrow because we are going to be back on the air tomorrow. Unsurvivable storm surge likely at the coast. Unsurvivable. Cat 5, 160-mile-an-hour winds. And the Florida Gulf Coast landfall less than 36 hours away now. So this will become a Thursday broadcast too. We'll be on tomorrow night, probably around 11 o'clock, but we will be on Thursday too. And I hope all my Florida viewers are making the right decision to make sure they stay alive, stay safe. So I understand, Ruthie, a lot of ex-Catholics out there. There's a lot of things I like about the Catholic Church, but a lot of doctrine I don't agree with. And but I can go to Mass and enjoy it very much. I love the liturgy. I love the communion time. Boy, it's nice when you can find a priest that can actually preach, that can deliver a compelling homily. When there are those people, they usually end up on TV because, there's such a need for it. Father Karapi was very big on EWTN and on other channels too, I think. Definitely on EWTN. great preacher, although kind of harsh sometimes and heavy on the Mary, which I don't like. She is blessed amongst all women. Um, a wonderful example. Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. So, wonderful example. Not the mother of God. That's not the way to put it. I would not agree with that. So what else is everybody saying? We have 72 watching right now. We have 26 likes. If you haven't hit the like button and you like anything at all, please do. Nancy DeMarco joins us as well. James, do you know Alex? Alex, who watches, is in Australia. James says we're getting ready for the Great Reset. That's a popular thing. There's several of my viewers that are talking about that right now. That's what to get ready to happen. Well, a lot of when the Great Reset will happen, I think, depends on what happens November 5th. And I'm very, very concerned about this. I mean, we could get a delay in the Great Reset. If you can, in one, in a couple of sentences, tell me what the Great Reset means to you. I think it's another way for talking about what happens in the last days. Um, Very concerned about polling stations being washed away. That's why I was even in the promo talking about early voting. Um, in North Carolina, some rules being changed. Some things are changing. Will that benefit Trump? Will it benefit Kamala Harris? Because these polling stations are going to. Some of them still are filled with water and what have you. You can't use the building. Can't use the building. So this is all in God's hands. It's all in God's hands. And when you notice that, you're just going to get your surfboard and ride the wave and pray as you're doing it. Um, what's going to happen is going to happen. Great live, Jack. Well, hi, David Tanner. You've been writing me in the emails, Jack the Fair Guy, FAIR, Jack the Fair Guy at gmail.com. Thanks for those nice words, David. New currency. Yeah, well, certainly we're going to become a cashless society, right? And yeah, I have no trust in the progressive movement. And I think they are capable of terrible things, and that the people that are not paying attention, who think it's going to be good, as I say, when it comes to the progressives, all they care about is their personal power. All they care about is their power. They don't care about you. They don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about God. They don't care about anything. Well,